The Ordinary Assembly of the Confederation of African Football provided an opportunity for reflection and change in the same breath. Having led CAF since 1988, Issa Hayatou lost the presidential election to Ahmad of Madagascar. Critics blamed Hayatou's leadership for lack of transparency and accountability, with some delegates particularly unhappy with the current TV rights deal negotiated by CAF. Ahmad's campaign on the platform of radical change in management of football, including financial audit at the continental body.
I will open the doors of the African football to all the football associations in Africa to allow talent to come through all the levels in order to guarantee a more active role to all stakeholders. The vision of CAF will be your shared vision. You will henceforth be respected as the real owners of CAF.
The wind of change in African football came through the ballot revolution, with members calling for more support and bigger share of funding from CAF.
FIFA itself has done quite a bit of work in the FIFA Forward, where they're bringing in a lot of money, which will help associations with their normal budgets plus infrastructure. And I think if we were to get the same level of support from CAF, then we'll be happy and good to go.
As FIFA's biggest member, Africa has been urged to unite and fight for more global opportunities.
So it's not about numbers, it's about being inclusive, it's about increasing the representativity of Africa in particular, who was clearly underrepresented in the FIFA Council, and we did it. And as of the last Council meeting, 7 representatives of Africa were sitting in the FIFA Council.
The bitterly contested elections created divisions among the different camps, and experts say the new leadership must now move with speed to bring the house under one roof.
Let's not for a second think that he sat there for 30 years and did nothing or did very little. He actually did quite a bit, and we should applaud him, we should celebrate him, we should recognize and respect this. And I'm hoping that the current president will actually stretch out to President Hayatou, open his arms and ask for advice, meaningful advice, as an elder would be expected to do.
Already, a renewed sense of optimism is sweeping among those who have been clamoring for change in African football.
Ahmad will bring change. We are his colleague, we work with him, we'll make sure that those changes are in the interest of African football.
With new leadership for the first time in 29 years, the continent will be waiting keenly to hear how the new president plans to steer African football for the next 4 years. A lot awaits the new president of African Football Confederation, Ahmad, as he begins his new term in office. Many people will be hoping that the new leader will reach out, particularly among the disenfranchised community within African football, as he builds consensus and galvanizes the continental football. Saddique Shaban, CGTN, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
Right now, for more on this, we're now joined live in studio by Francis Gaitho, who is a football analyst here in Nairobi. Francis, I'll begin by asking you, this is, of course, a new administration at the head of African football. But can we expect radical changes in the way that football is run on the continent?
That's the basis of this entire campaign. It was change, it was reform. The people who the clamor for change and the people who voted for Ahmad know precisely why they did it. And they did it to break away from the past, because we thought that there was a lot of concentration of power in one person or a few people, and we wanted it devolved. We wanted democracy to be embraced and divergent opinions to be not to be demonized and all the time reprimanded. So yes, change will definitely come. There's no shortcut.
Okay, now this is obviously a big job ahead for Ahmad.
Yes.
But what areas do you think need immediate attention from both the new president and his new executive committee?
There were some decisions which were not favorable. Number one was the awarding of AFCON hosts for 2019, 2021, and 2023. We believe that those decisions should be annulled, and we do fresh bidding. Because all the hosting countries happened to be concentrated around West Africa, West African Francophone countries.
Right.
And we felt that especially Anglophone countries were being isolated. And yet we have decent countries with modern infrastructure, good airports that can even do a better job of hosting, like Ethiopia, like Zambia. Kenya is hosting CHAN next year. So we just wanted to get rid of this French and Francophone hegemony and to embrace inclusivity for everyone.
Is that also likely going to affect refereeing and TV rights?
I can tell you about one prolonged deal which was signed last year, 2015, by Issa Hayatou with Lagardère. It's a marketing agency based in France. They locked all our commercial rights in a contract for 12 years. So it's going to expire in 2028. And we felt, first of all, this time was too long, 12 years, locking it to one party. Secondly, the terms were very vague. And it covers, all the aspects of football.
Right.
So we are talking about TV rights, we're talking about the pitch perimeter branding for all the competitions, and giving all that exclusivity to one person for 12 years was a bit too far for Issa Hayatou, and actually that's one of the reasons why he was voted out.
All right, now looking at the voting patterns, this sort of tells us that there was a wave of change across the continent, looking for a different change at the top level. But do you think this is likely to translate now down to national federations?
Well, national federations have to take cue to also align with this wave of change. It cannot be business as usual. People voted on this because there was pressure from the public, who are also stakeholders. Most of the time they've been isolated from these decisions, or even from knowing and participating in such congresses. So people have to, there's no shortcut. You have to align with the wave of change, if it's transparency, accountability, if it's being proactive in pursuing sponsors, making stadiums conducive for fans. So there's no shortcut, yes.
All right, and finally, obviously, looking at the man who's leaving the post, it's been 29 years. That is a very long time.
Yes.
How would you describe Issa Hayatou's legacy?
We wouldn't take everything from him, because Africa got its first World Cup in 2010. We also saw, a few, the attempts to commercialize the game. So he did it. However he did it, he didn't do it well. But also he has a lot of taint as regards to, just isolating people and dealing with dissidents with force, and just running football like it was his own personal property. So in between the two, I think the negatives outweigh the positives. Yes.
All right. Football analyst Francis Gaitho, thank you very much for joining us
on
Match Point.
Yes.
No worries.